Mic check. It works. What's up, Nightmare? How are you? How pumped I am about this. Not like I said. I didn't. I didn't. You want to check it out? I worked all day yesterday, um, and it got busy before that stuff happened. It- What's up, Zenith? Oh, it's Zach. All right. How are you, man? Long time no see. Time no see. Yeah, not a lot. Not a lot. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just waking up a little bit. Waking up a little bit. I've been good. I've been really good. Dream Six will be indoor. Actually, I've been good. There is a new rebirth map. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess they're gonna reveal 12 pieces of it. This feels. I thought this was gonna be a much better puzzle, but I'm trying to figure out what would be the best way to do this. Is I'm not like super. Not a super. When will the new rebirth map be out? I think like in a month, basically. All right. Sorry, I'm waking up, so I'm just getting. I know most of you it's afternoon, but I have no idea where that thought was going to go. I put up this picture. I just open a face. So yeah, the new rebirth map should be out in like a month, I think. Oh, let's say change. Up that's the copy it. Copy it, open it up in Paint, paste it. Is there any way to like control it, back it out yet? Is there any way to select? Immediately wish I was better with this program. Got this. Over here. So this is the here this this is the tweet. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I don't know if that's worth. I don't know if that's like worth doing. Putting it all together. You know, I would imagine they're gonna drop another piece in 6 minutes, so we'll see. We'll see then. Save image. All this in our figure that out. So there's the first picture. Back this out if I okay. This might work a lot better. Like, why don't you do that? The COD Twitter account. Yes. That I guess is what's dropping it. Although I will say it's a little weird in the like so they said uh undiscovered riches await on Fortune's Keep. So the new name of the map the new map is called Fortune's Keep. Uh, it says they've received intel from a mercenary informant that 11 other pieces need to be uncovered. I'm not quite sure like how the other 11 pieces get uncovered or if they're going to drop like them just like sporadically. They did their first one at 12:30. Maybe one a day. Uh, so according to this other guy's tweet that like this guy says it's getting done today, and I think on their own Twitter yesterday they said basically today they would reveal the whole thing. Like we're gonna get like an overhead map today. There's this. All right, see. Oh, look at this. So there's the second. It blows up for you. So I guess there's the second piece. So there, yeah, I would imagine they're gonna do a bunch of them. Now that I can't necessarily put into it. All right, Baylor. I'm sure I can actually do this and just blow this up. Whoa. Green. Nope, wrong button. There we go. What the hell am I gonna Did I just lose half? I can maybe some paint. Turn it up, please. At least know how to use this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rebirth one. There you go. Yeah, and I don't look like I'm covering any of it, so that's all right. No problem. This is all I wanted to do. I can blow this up. All right. One. Oh, wait, no. Two shots. Be a little off. There's our corner piece. Blow this up a bit. Actually, I can just make them both smaller for now. And we can just. There we go. Bunch of USEs. That's not the same spot, obviously. Here. Here. See if they put a new one up. It's Twitter. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got it high res now. Get rid of our homemade picture. Here. Although I would imagine that I'll do this and they'll just release the whole thing when it's all out. Right? That would be like the natural thing. This is on the corner. Throw that down there. A little bit bigger. Make sure they're all the same size. There we go. We're getting a hair better at this. Put one down like here. This feels like a middle piece. That's start of it. What I don't know is like how are they dropping? Because like he put up this picture, and where it is at Call of Duty. Like I don't think they've put up any pictures. So it would be nice, you know, like I thought this was something they were supposed to play around with. But apparently it's not. Like I don't know how I play this game, you know? So we might just be done with this and we'll keep checking in on it as we go. I wonder if I can just do. So I wonder if every like 15 minutes or so they're gonna drop a new piece. So they just I wonder if they just sent all the pieces to like different creators and they're just gonna put them up that way. That's kind of lame if you ask me. Appreciate you, Baylor. But yeah, so I guess based on here's when I was looking at this last night, and granted I was incredibly tired last night. I got home, had worked from 10:30 to I think I got in at 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, I'll show you what like. But yeah, this is the tweet that I saw yesterday before I went to sleep, which was discover new riches and fortunes keep. Help the community reveal the tech map tomorrow. But what it looks like they're doing so, and this is the original tweet that kind of announced the new map. If you guys haven't seen it yet, um, this is like I guess this is one of those like magic eye puzzles, and when you complete it, it gives you the name Fortune's Keep, which is the name of the new Rebirth map. Uh, and I assume that they were going to do more like puzzles like that, but it looks like they are just looks like they've just maybe given different creators the pieces of the map and are having them drop them periodically. And it looks like they seem to think that the Tabman is the next person who's going to drop a T. So will this be a plunder map? The fortune? How do we know it's a rebirth map? I guess so. That's a good point, but I guess I think the telling thing is where is Raven Software? Here. So Raven Software, yeah, they put up there like, um, what the hell is it called? There, the game types, game lists. That's not what I'm looking for. They put up the, oh hell, what is it called? They put the all the game types that they're planning on dropping up. I wish I could find. Wish I could find the where they put it up. I'll just look for it. Where's the playlist? Playlist. There we go. So this is close up. Open image in new tab. Open it. Okay. So they always put like the new. Yeah, dang, no problem. We'll go back over it. They always put the new, whatever the hell this is called. They always give you like 4 weeks of what the playlists are going to be now. They tell you like Caldera, Battle Royale, solos, duos, trios. That's week May 25th. They do week of June 2nd. They tell you what the game types are going to be now. And then June 20th to June 22nd, you have the Rebirth Island playlist, and it's redacted out. So there is going to be some event going on with Rebirth Island at the end of the month. Or I guess for just the last 3 days of 2 days. Not even the last 2 days of the month. I didn't realize that's June 20th to June 22nd. There's going to be like a 2-day, and I bet that's like what? Yeah, it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then what happens on Wednesday nights? You get the update. So I would imagine on the 23rd. Yeah. And they kind of then teased the new map name yesterday on their Twitter. So it looks like that's just a week. Or it's a week from Thursday. So a week from Thursday, like we should have a new map. And they are just going to drop, and we'll keep kind of looking back at this. The hashtag fortune keep. We'll keep kind of looking back at this to see what So yeah, it looks like we'll have some event for Rebirth next week, and then on Thursday with the new update, we will have a new Rebirth map. So I think it's pretty much confirmed, Baylor, that there's not going to be like a new, not like a new map for anything else. Here we go. And it looks like they're doing it every 15 minutes or so, so it actually isn't going that by that. I am sorry. I did just wake up. I haven't had any caffeine today. Let's call this Rebirth Map 3, just so I can remember. And we'll pop this up here. But now we got a piece on the top. And I will just resize this. Okay, so it looks like about every 15 minutes or so, we'll get a piece. So somebody that's more awake than me can do the math and tell me when. Doesn't quite fit there, but it looks like we got another corner piece. Throw this like up here. I can't imagine this is going to be too big. Just to make sure, yeah, these all fit on top of each other. Like, we'll keep this up here. We'll keep this like right here. We'll see if this kind of, we'll put this in the middle. There. That'll be the spacing that we kind of use initially, at least, I guess, to guide us. Here. That fit? What do you think? Not really. Keep that right. We'll keep that right there. We'll put this like right over here for now. I guess we're just chilling. So if there's anything else you guys want to talk about while we kind of wait, I don't know that I'm gonna. I mean, let's get done. 4 pieces an hour, right? 4 pieces an hour. This will take about 3 hours. I gotta move my. Oh my god. Sorry. Let me take this off. That's not what we want to do, Nick. There we go. We go up here. We up here today. That works for me. And I don't think this is where this piece is going to go. I just was using it to kind of size up everything. There we go. Yeah, no worries. That makes sense. Yeah. So we should get another piece here in about 10 minutes. Somebody, I'm sure, will drop it. Unless they just all start dropping them. Whatever. If they gave it to the creators. And there's going to be a ton of people just spamming that new piece. We get from them. LA Angels play Nickelback songs to try to 13-game slides. Team still loses. Yeah, well, they do it. There's another piece. All right, there we go. Call this Rebirth Map. Upload it. Keep piecing it together. This looks like it goes along the bottom somewhere. First, we'll make it the same size as everything else. That doesn't go there. It looks like pirate is the kind of theme with the smugglers. So at some point, we're going to get this all worked out. This is somewhere on the bottom. Obviously, this doesn't quite fit there, so that's all right. Smuggler's Cove channel. What do you mean channel? The nice thing is, as soon as we get this V, we'll know. know kind of where this part goes, but this is along the bottom, I'm guessing. We start getting some of these that'll fill in. Yeah, it's got to be Cove. It's got to be Cove. We just use. And it looks like what they did was they gave all the creators, the big creators at least, whatchamacallit, little picks, and they're releasing them as they were probably told to do at different times. Look at hashtag Fortune's Keep. That'll end up, yeah. Yeah, I did that earlier. Oh, they all got cakes.
I'm pretty sure Activision and Call of Duty sent me an ice cream cake. And if you look at the top of the ice cream cake, it's actually a small portion of the new Fortune Keeps map that's coming out soon. Very interesting.
Hey, no worries, Z.
Ladies and gentlemen, very interesting indeed. So I woke up this morning and I had a notification on my phone that
I mean, in all fairness, Z, like, I don't know how exciting this is. Especially because you figure, like, as soon as all the pictures are out, somebody's gonna put them together anyways. I'll tell you what, I'll confirm right now, I did not get an ice cream cake. I didn't get one. Not like I'm super happy about it. You know, I don't know why. Because I haven't played much Warzone recently. I've been hypercritical of them, so maybe that's on me. This is how he's got his. Yeah, the only thing about this guy's picture is like, I think he's going a little too big. Opinion. Dude, this guy, this feels a little bit more right, me at least. Closer to what we've got. Although it doesn't make sense that this road, like this, I think is going to be like more over here. Maybe it's like going to be 4 across. Had to guess. If I had to guess, it's going to look. That could be there. I don't know. I guess it can't be 3 by 3. Maybe 4 by 4. Maybe it's going to look something like that. That doesn't make sense either. That's all right. We'll figure it out when they get more pieces. We'll get it out. Looks like we're going to get another piece here in 3 minutes. Oh, actually, this is probably right. That road probably goes down here. It looks gonna look something like it'll be 4x4 maybe. That feels right. Maybe after we get a piece, we'll flip into a game. Also, I don't know. Maybe I won't play games at least initially. You know, like I am still just kind of waking up. You know what? Let's do this. We're gonna poll. Well, this was streamer. Since I've done a poll, so hey, let's go. What do you got tonight? This one Warriors. We'll make this one Celtics. And all right. I would imagine we will get our next by now. Maybe the poll should have been more. Can I run 2 polls? Run 2 polls? See why not? Yeah, we'll keep it for a minute. We get more map pieces. We will throw up poll on whether or not this is going to be good. Rebirth is like the best part about Warzone now. So if they screw this up, like, kind of on them. Three by four. We're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Missing 8 pieces. Work 4 by 3. Yeah, 4 by 3 work. Yeah, maybe it doesn't. So really, it should. Oh, we got another piece. Save image. 5. Here. Like we've got this right in here. That's not going to go there. Bring this up here. Okay, so it looks like we'll get one every 15 minutes. This is just kind of my guess at this point where these are going to go. Why not? Yeah, 1:45, 2 o'clock, 15, 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:15, 3:30. So 3:30 we will know what the map looks like. This feels wrong. This placement feels just a hair wrong. We'll get it. Get another piece. So earlier than we expected. Rebirth 6. Take this. Oh, yay. It doesn't go there, but that's definitely on the top somewhere. Maybe like right here. Man, what's the rebirth? Spread it out. What do we got here? 12, 13, 15, 16, 19. So it covers like 19 squares of space. What is this? I mean, possibly. It also could just be like rebirth is longer. It could be that this is more squat. But I don't know. I guess potentially. More circular. That's what I think. I think it looks a little bit more like, you know, one of these. Whereas Rebirth's just a little bit longer, maybe. You know, like if they compress, but it could be bigger. Could be bigger. It's hard. I think it's hard to say. Like at this point. Plus, you don't. I mean, you know, we can count the squares and assume that it's like similar scope. But I would imagine it's about going to be about the same size. Because like if they screw this up, like that's. I mean, the Rebirth is their baby. You know, Rebirth is their baby. So like, and that's what most people play Rebirth at this point. So if they destroy Rebirth Island and then, you know, move to something different, new. This is the first piece again, correct? Yeah. There we go. This is how he's got it. So he's got this up in the corner. We think this is right. He's missing one of our pieces. Yeah, we got a piece he doesn't have. Good for us. I guess this makes more sense over here, but then I just don't. I guess the corner piece up here, but also I don't know where this goes then. Unless it's just going to be a little bit bigger. In fact, we can size these down just a hair. Be more space to work with, and I can always just control it a little bit. I give a little bit more freedom to play with here. Doesn't have to be perfect for this. Move everything around just a hair. Definitely still this. That's a bottom piece right there. That way we can have a little bit more space to work with. Again, if I was better at paint, Modern Warzone has pieces put together. You got more pieces? Okay, that's pretty close to what we just had. That's pretty close to what we just had. I don't feel that bad. He's got to here. And then just so we can get the sizing kind of close. Here. Got it like like that. That's pretty close to what he's got. It's up a little bit. There we go. All right, now we're rolling. Cooking with gas. We got 3 minutes, so let's go back to explore. Hashtag Fortune's Keep. What we've got? Yeah, this looks like it's going to go off this page, though. That's the only thing that's weird about this piece is it kind of goes out a little bit. So I wonder what we'll end up seeing here in the end. Have that piece, right? Now they're just dropping it like willy-nilly. Or maybe not. Maybe that guy retweeted it. All right. Never mind. Piece. Rebirth 7. Wait, we already have Bay. I'm an idiot. That's all. So it does look. I'm just getting fooled by. I'm just getting fooled by anyone else. These retweets. Yeah. We're coming along. Coming along. These next pieces will be big. We'll start to see how stuff connects. I'd imagine like we'll get this piece here last. Kind of feels like it'll really flesh the thing out. And I guess I'm not the only person doing this, but that's all right. This is all this exciting stuff. Honestly, this is the kind of lower effort thing that I can be happy to do today. You're way behind, Ricky James. Just pieces, buddy. That up. We can see the images as they kind of roll in, and I can here do something else. Oh, no. God, I wouldn't pay attention there. I feel like we should have gotten another piece by now. Nice. Oh, he's got a new piece. Oh, I get this lighthouse piece. There we go. There's Rebirth. Now we're cooking with gas. Got Lighthouse, Smuggler's Cove. Let's look at the bottom of the map a little bit. It looks like it's going to be 4 cross. They have like, okay, it doesn't look as crazy big to me now, like seeing it, I think. The middle of the map's a little bit more open. This looks good. You guys got that. Much better with Photoshop than I am. Yeah, and it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to when they're tweeting things out. So like it doesn't look as crazy big. As what it was going to. This feels like it's going to be nothing up here. Like this is going to be such a like a blah pick. It might be like a little up and down, but like realistically you can see the edge of the island here. So like think something like what we have here with Bay, but maybe even less. Especially because of how this dips down in. I guess we can figure out how big it's going to be now. I guess a little bit bigger than Rebirth. Now, granted, those squares might not be like 1-to-1 with the squares on Rebirth. Black letter. Words. At least while we're waiting, I can put together a little bit nicer thumbnail. Flip some things around while we're waiting. We'll see if we get these here. 5. You guys have Warriors easy. And not. Nothing. Answer that one. Change this thumbnail while I'm live. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll get this off your screen. Boom. Boom. Well, I mean, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. It looks like some kind of like observation tower, maybe like a telescope. You know. It also like the. It looks like there's a lot more buildings. It's a little bit denser. Imagine somebody has to drop one in the next 2 minutes. At least what I'm thinking. They seem to have all dropped about like 15 minutes apart. I will say the one thing, the fact that it's not like going to be based off a real place is kind of like it doesn't kill it for me, but it's kind of cool that Alcatraz is like pretty much modeled off a place that actually exists. How many POIs does Rebirth have? One, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got here 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it'll probably be about the same. I also wonder if it won't be as tall. I mean, they have a place called Lighthouse, so that's probably not, the case. Probably will be, it'll have just as many like 2-story, 3-story buildings. It'd be nice not to have like the big prison block, I think, like taking up the middle. Middle here seems a little bit more open. That maybe works better on a like small maps like this. Two 16s. Somebody's have one up soon. Or maybe they're making us wait longer because like everything now is just gonna start connecting things. Unless they just drop this one. Be frustrating because I feel like this, based off the red line, has to be near nothing. This is kind of the shot in the arm, at least as far as events and stuff that Call of Duty probably needs. Or at least Warzone does. The same issue thing we have. Chilling. Well, while nobody's here, I'll just here we'll go. The intro for whatever video this is going to be. Think of it in my head. YouTube! Welcome to the channel. Thanks for watching today. We're going to be revealing the new Rebirth map. It's going to be called Fortune's Keep. I was better at that. It's going to be called Fortune's Keep. We were told about the existence of the map yesterday, and today we're getting the map, overhead map, spoiled for us. Not great, but you know what? Do it. If I was more awake, I think I could sound more excited there. We'll see how it goes. Have that done so we can cut this quickly. Let's see. Somebody should have put something up on. I guess either somebody went out of order, they're gonna make us wait till 2:30. So we started at 12:30, 12:30, 12:45, 1, 1:30, 45, 2. I think somebody's late. Like if they kept that 15 minutes frame going. I don't know. Yeah, not wrong. I think they thought this would be fun, and it slowly just turned into not being that fun. Oh, we'll keep paying attention to it. It's interesting. This guy says with the grid's anything to go by, it's about twice as big as Rebirth Island. Think they had up the player count then? Oh, looks like this could be Caldera 2.0. Could be. Doesn't have to be. That's anything to go by. It's much bigger than I thought it was. That's a huge difference. But maybe part of it's that they just like saw how many people were playing Rebirth. I figure if the audience is there, they can get a little bit more. This just feels like mini battle royale. And a lot more buildings. Wonder if we can count. See how many buildings there actually are in Rebirth. If we count like the new stronghold stuff. So there's bios 1. There's here. No, these are long, big buildings. Like as far as houses, there's really only 1, 2, 3. We count those. There's 3, 4, 5. I'd say. Count these. I think we have to 6, 7. Three, 4. Like 25 buildings. And what do we have here? These have large buildings too. I bet it is just huge. The new map is bigger, Joe Mama. New map is definitely bigger. And like even so this is a tweet J God put out where he kind of compares the pixel size squares. And that's like the old Rebirth compared to what this new map is. And like even if this isn't like quite perfect, the thing is you can kind of like see like some of the longer buildings on the old map. And like then you can see like what like I imagine that's about the size of what? Like maybe half of chemical. You know, so like I do think it's bigger. Even there, like if that lighthouse building is 1-to-1 with the lighthouse building in Rebirth, like it definitely is bigger. Looks like it's bigger. Looks like there's more open space at points. Oh, where did they say that? I didn't see that about the zombie event. That I didn't see. I kind of assumed it was going to be more like because they've been, pulling those gas like crates across the map beginning of games. I kind of assumed it was going to be more like that. You think this is going to be a good, bad? I think Rebirth, like Verdansk. I think a lot of people were like kind of sick, tired of, and I don't know that I've gotten the same feel from Rebirth. Like it'd be nice to have. Okay, cool. Cool. Um, yeah, I liked, like the Halloween stuff they did the first year was good. Uh, the zombie like event itself was kind of got old, and it looks like they're gonna do a 3-day event for Rebirth, like Demise. I kind of assume that just like in Caldera, how there is shallow portions, I kind of assume that's the same way. I don't think these will be like steep cliffs. That would be my guess. You know, like there's little boats. And it's possible that there's bridges that are left off. Do they? I thought, unless I'm wrong, What would you call that? What did we look it up earlier as? Zone playlist, yeah. 22. Right? June 20th to June 22nd? Yeah, that's 3 days. So June 20th, right? That's one. Yeah, June 21st is two. June 22nd is three. That's 3 days. Right? Or like if I could be an idiot, you know? That definitely wouldn't be the first time I've done something kind of dumb. If we got anything else, we should. Now it's 2:33. We should definitely, I think, have. But this gets so much smaller. I tell you what, the fact that none of these. You're right. Okay. The fact that none of like this event was good. I didn't hate it until by giving the pictures to creators kind of go off their time scale. So like I don't know why are we waiting so long now? The zombies movie, but in the destruction of Verdansk. Destruction of Verdansk, I think Joe Mama wasn't bad. I don't think it was a bad event. It was like the one day of it was too long, you know? One day for the destruction felt like too long of a time. Or what was it? It was like an 8 hour event, and then at night they did the Rebirth only at night, and Rebirth at night was cool. That's something I think they should have maybe brought back or used a little bit more. At least that's what I think. The fact that they haven't dropped anything, like that's the only thing about this. Is if they'd have kept it like that 15-minute intervals that they were doing, I would be a-okay with this. But the fact that they're like have gone cold, it's kind of frustrating. But yeah, I would be cool with something like that. That doesn't seem like too bad of a thing to do. As long as it's done well, is because on Verdansk we couldn't escape. Yeah, yeah, you could get to the end, but then like no matter what you did, you died. It definitely. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith because I feel like a lot of the events recently have been things that like either sounded good and then kind of just weren't, or like they oversell events, or you get to an event and it just feels like they didn't put a lot of effort into it. Who knows? I would take even if they would even drop like one of these corner pieces, that would be cool with me at this point. Like because this piece is going to have absolutely nothing on it. It's going to be the end of this red line. Everything else looks like it'll have stuff. Those. I have a feeling Infinity Ward can do the zombies event better. Uh, yeah, but I mean, it's still gonna be Raven. This event here is still going to be Raven. I don't know about that. Not to, like, just because Infinity Ward is doing Modern Warfare 2, I don't think they're still not working on anything Warzone related. They're just working on Modern Warfare 2, which I thought looked good. But always, like, at this point in time, every this point in time, every Call of Duty game looks good. That's how they do it. They you know they like do 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Like they sometimes they're really good about player communication, and people are like, "Oh, this is nice. This is a refreshing step in the right direction." And like, not to like completely bash on them. There's things that they've done well, but then like there's other the big thing I guess for me is that it feels like a lot of other games like battle royales, things like that, just are much better with like consistent updates that change the game up for people. Like Call of Duty feels like you get one update and then like 2 months later you get another update, and sometimes the updates are underwhelming and nothing changes, and that I think is what's like put me off, like why I've played less more recently. That it just doesn't. And again, the fact that we haven't gotten a picture in what we're closing on an hour now, kind of frustrating, especially since they released the first group like every 15 minutes or so. Is what it is. I don't know. I don't know. Like the killer is if this map is bad. If this map is bad, like they're basically toast until the Warzone 2. Or like do they do a complete 180 and bring back Rebirth? I don't know. Like this it seems risky. Seems risky to take the one like thing that nobody really complains about in the game and like make a big change. Because again, like that's the thing about Caldera is at least people were kind of sick and tired of Verdansk. You know, at least like, and I know that everybody's like, oh well, remember everybody complained about it. Well, like, yeah, we wanted something new that was good. You know, we wanted something new that we could enjoy. And like, I think pretty unanimously, everybody thinks that Caldera is not as entertaining at the very least. I know there's like early on people were like, "Oh, it's definitely it's a more competitive map." It just wasn't as fun, and that's why like now whenever I log in, I just play Rebirth. Yeah, so like it seems like a really risky move to take something that like worked really well and say, "Hey, we're gonna change it." And maybe the timing works out. Like maybe they're comfortable if it's not good, just eating it until Warzone 2 comes out. The OG Everdance was better. Yeah, I mean I didn't even mind the 84. It just felt like the only thing I didn't like about 84 was they said that the reason they did such small changes was because they were going to be able to do a lot of like bigger changes throughout the lifespan of the map, and that never really happened. You know, they made some minor changes to the map till the end. Let's we go. We got another one. Jazz. Oh, it's what, Rebirth 9 maybe? Let's see what we did here. Rebirth. Resize it real quick. There we go. Pretty close. They're spreading it all around the map, and that's going to just cause like zombies, possibly. The only thing about zombies is like they've hit that well pretty hard. So like, I hope it's fun. If that's what they're gonna do at the end of Rebirth is another zombie event. Like that's also maybe either a little lazy, which obviously they some of their events have felt lazy, so that wouldn't shock me. That wouldn't shock me, but we'll see. Okay, let's see what we got here. Because now we can at least, this picture kind of ties a lot more together. There's a graveyard. Again, a lot of open space in the middle, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing on a smaller map. Definitely kind of killed Caldera, having like only the one spot. But I imagine this is also like flat. Like the thing that kind of kills Caldera is like there's the big mountain. Like there's such a wasteland in the middle that it really just breaks up the game flow. Whereas this, at least it looks like you'll be able to move pretty freely through. Like some construction. So the cool thing about this is like, this looks like they could, if they wanted to, take it and make a new like point of interest. At some point, if they want to update this and make it feel a little bit fresher, put a new spot in there, they could do that. Grotto. So I wonder if this will be like, this is either a pit or, it's like underground a little bit. Who knows? Graveyard. This feels like it'd be like an open area, but also like the graveyard in Verdansk was kind of neat. Going right outside, just south of the superstore. It wasn't like a bad area to fight. It looks like they've got like little mausoleums. I would imagine is what these are. Again, I will say like the amount of buildings they have. I wonder how because people already, kind of gripe about how everybody kind of sits on Rebirth. And it feels like some of these could be very similar. So there's two of these now. Well, I wonder if this is going to be like a big fortress up here. That's kind of what makes sense to me. But I'll say this: dense areas aren't always that bad. Sometimes they can be kind of fun to fight in. The only thing that gets tough is like you wander into an area where like every team is clearly holding down one house. that's sometimes not super fun from like if you're coming into that area where like a lot of teams are just posted up. But like being able to kind of fight house to house is kind of fun. I am optimistic, cautiously optimistic. I'd say I sit. And really, like the bar is so low. Well, I guess it's not. It is and it isn't. The bar is low because damn near everything that they do is a little rough, maybe. But then the other thing is like obviously Rebirth is the one thing that I think if people were like, what are the 5 things that need to change in Call of Duty Warzone? I don't think Rebirth ever makes that list. And then if you said, what's the one thing that's kind of okay and you don't need to touch? People would say, oh, Rebirth. This is risky for them, but we'll see. It does. This is. I imagine these are all like 2 to 3 stories over here. At least like this, these bigger buildings are at least 2 stories, and you can kind of tell. Like I think this building is the one that really, for me, says that this map's going to be bigger because I imagine that's like the size and shape of like a factory-esque building. I feel like that's about the size of Control. If you had to like, if you had to put it against like the current Rebirth map, this building feels like the size of like a Control or maybe uh what is the one that's just across from Bio? I don't know why I can't remember what that's. What's that called, Nick? Chem. This feels like it could be about a chem size building. That so it's definitely I think going to be a lot bigger. And you don't have a giant prison taking up the middle. It will. The other thing that will be kind of weird is not having like the map Alcatraz, or Rebirth Island, whatever you want to call it, being like based off a real place was really neat. This obviously doesn't have that, but that doesn't bad. And you can only just kind of speculate now. We got like 12 days, 12 days to find out. We'll see. Oh, and somebody else put up. Drop that in there. 8 days. Thank you, Joe Mama. Yeah, 8 days. Because I guess, but the event starts. We got 7 days until the start of the event, and then we've got 8 will be the 21st. 9, 10 days. We got 10 days, Joe. We got 10 days till this thing kind of kicks off. Ten days at least, I would say, until we're playing it, because that's when the new update will be. I will say I hope this isn't like a pit that kind of, I don't know that that's a great choice for the middle of the map. But it also could just be like a lower elevation area, which is fine, I think. Definitely more buildings, denser areas to fight house to house in. It also looks like there's towers. It also looks like there's a lot of towers, which I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing, because like you already have the lighthouse is a pretty ratty spot in, the rebirth we have now. We'll see. But it's coming together. 3 picks left. I don't know. Anybody have any like thoughts based off what we can see so far? It definitely looks like it's a little bit bigger. There's definitely more buildings. There's also more open space in the middle. They've got this area right here is not a named POI, but like the nice thing is it could be something that they like end up updating, kind of like they did with Control, where they may do an update to like put another POI in there. It would be cool if I would wonder if we'll see like any buildings recycled from like Verdansk or anything like that. But yeah, it also looks like we're gonna have like 3 pretty significant like areas that are like super dense with buildings. Like maybe 3 like separate towns, which is kind of neat. So it'll either be get really ratty, or it'll be just nice enough where it's fun. Who knows? And then it looks like this might be a dense like kind of area. I'm trying to think of what the W could be. Like the only thing in my head that I want to say is waterworks, but like that doesn't that feels like it doesn't make sense. I think I just want to use like a Halo name. Maybe it's Wetworks. You know, there we go. Got another piece, guys. Now they're rolling in. What do we call this? 10. It's up there for me. Size it up first. We've done a pretty good job of like keeping it. Oh, that building's fucking massive. Building is ginormous. So it looks like you've got like this kind of stronghold in the north side of the map. I see the Xbox showcase, Gerald. What's up? Bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. I still haven't seen the. I worked basically all day yesterday, so I didn't see any of the best stuff that dropped. So I didn't see the Starfield thing, but I heard it looked either really good or not promising, depending on who you asked. What did you think? What did you see over the weekend that was like exciting? Looks like there's walls that basically. So this is kind of weird because this part of the map looks very insulated. And definitely a lot bigger than Persona 5. I'll have to check that out and see what that is. Oh, they got 11. Winery. Mikey Shim, wait, how are you seeing this? Where'd you get this info in this picture? Mikey, this was up this is something they kind of announced on Twitter that they were dropping today. So this has just kind of been like going up on Twitter just like real kind of slowly over the last, I don't know, 12:30 to now. So now that we can kind of see more of it, it looks like this east side of the map's going to be very open. And there's going to be two super dense areas at the north and west side. Okay, fair enough, Geralt. That makes sense. We've got, we can just start at the bottom right. We've got camp, which kind of looks pretty sparse. I think we've fought in buildings about this size before. It's definitely bigger than, like, the map itself, I think, is bigger than Rebirth currently is. And you can kind of tell just based on the size of the buildings that that's the case. So camp, this kind of feels like, one of those little areas that we have already in Caldera. I kind of imagine this to be like about the size of the tents area in regular Rebirth, just with only like, 4 buildings or so. This feels kind of like, not maybe a bland area, but like definitely not like a crazy, unless these buildings are just much taller than I think they are, but I'd imagine that at the most they're 2 stories. Then you got the winery, which I honestly bet would have like some underground areas. That makes the most sense to me. Um, because wine's kept in cellars. So I would imagine it'll have like a bunch of like underground tunnels that go in between the buildings. That's just kind of like the way I see it. And then I bet it's like 2, maybe 3-story building in some parts. And you can also kind of see like the way this is tiered. This is probably higher up too. So even though this isn't maybe as dense with buildings as like some of these other areas that we'll get. Oh my god, Nick. Fine. Even though this isn't maybe as dense as like this looks, or this town is going to end up looking, it'll be kind of elevated and like sectioned off on its own. And I bet there's some underground because it's higher up. I bet there's plenty of underground passageways. The area again looks kind of sparse, but I think we've seen areas like this in Caldera that look kind of neat. You know, I'm not sure what this rock is or if you can get over to it, but it looks like it's got a dock on it, so there'll probably be, you know, some loot just like out in the open. But definitely the east side of the map overall way more open. The final bit, it's perfect. All right, so now we've got it all done. Check out the new map in all its glory. Like we said, the other eastern area is the lighthouse. And the only kind of issue that I see with the lighthouse at this point is like, does feel like with this side being more open, it's going to be like the lighthouse will be an even better place for guys that like get up and want to snipe and like, you know, beam people from a lot of safety, especially when you consider like it overlooks the camp and it overlooks like kind of these opener areas. Opener. And some of the most toxic people ever. You know, my younger brother's a PlayStation guy, Joel. My younger brother's a PlayStation guy. So maybe you're not wrong, honestly. Maybe you're not wrong. This area looks super dense as far as buildings. And you kind of would think if you don't, if the player count's not upped, this area kind of worries me. You know, this area kind of worries me being so dense with buildings because like there's just lots of places for teams to hide. And not that like I don't care if you want to camp. That's fine. But I think that like creating a lot of space for like, you know, if it's 50 players, what's up? Sweerar. Am I saying that remotely right? Sweerar. Wayrar. That's how I want to say it, Sweerar. I don't know if that's right. But this kind of seems like super open. What do I think about this dude? Uh, like I said, it's a risky move because I think if of all the complaints people have about the game, Rebirth is typically not one of them. Sui Rar, I gotcha. Yeah, so Rebirth is typically not one of the areas that people complain about. So it's a risky move on their part to say, hey, it's time to make a change. So hopefully, first thing is, you know, knock the event out. What do I think about subclips? If I'm being honest, I don't know that I'm very familiar with it. But I think was he one of the guys that dropped a piece of the map? He's got to be pretty popular. That'd be pretty popular. So making a big change to the map, that seems risky. Who knows? Having this area be very like sectioned off from the rest of the map, like, because this is pretty. This actually, what this looks like is like a low wall, so maybe that's not that bad. This kind of like from overhead looks like the wall that's like. You offended? I offended you? Sorry. I'm sorry. I don't have time to watch every, like I work a full-time job. Try to do this on the side. I don't have a whole lot of time to watch, you know. I'll check them out. I'll check them out. Um but yeah, if this is a big wall, so if this is one of those short walls, like what's right? Yeah. I figured you were joking. I figured you were joking. I'm pretty dry. I'm pretty dry. So like most of the time I'm joking or I'm in good spirits. It's just you might have a hard time telling. Uh what is the part of the rebirth map? So if this is like okay, I can't do it here. But if this is like that little wall outside of living quarters that kind of separates the high from the low on Stronghold, if this is like that, I think it's fine. If it's a big wall that kind of keeps everybody separate, I don't know that that's a great choice. And again, I think you're gonna have to like I think 80 players. He knows in 25 to get around 4. It's not good. Unless you're making tips, maybe. But yeah, I personally I would advise you to look elsewhere for employment. So what are we talking about? The fact that this is called Gatehouse like kind of leads me to believe that it's maybe a bigger wall than like that wall. That's kind of what I would think. And that would make me nervous as a player because like having like a giant fortress with only like a couple entryways seems like it breaks up the flow of play, if that makes sense. Having all these buildings, if there's not more players, kind of seems like it breaks up the flow of play. Just because there's a lot of areas people can sit. And so kind of like we said earlier, making a change to like the one mode that I think most people don't complain about, pretty risky. But I'm also like anytime they do something new, I'm up for it. Looking at like the left side of the map, which we haven't I mean, you know what? There's nothing wrong with asking for a raise, Sui. Regardless of how old you are, that's something to learn early on. If you feel like you deserve more, definitely ask. Yeah, this side of the map looks super dense. And you figure like even if we said half of these buildings are 2 stories, yeah, I don't buy it, Mikey. I don't buy it. Well, I mean, I guess it could be a different country, where they have some different rules, so it's possible. Definitely possible. Even if half of these buildings are 2 stories, like I don't know. You have to figure out like how if they're going to change like circle times, things like that. And you'd figure that that's something with a bigger map they have to adjust anyways. So I don't know. This part of the map doesn't really excite me at all. The Smuggler's Cove, it's kind of like 2 islands. also feels kind of sectioned off from the rest of the map. A lot of stuff looks good. And again, I think it's how many players are there? If it's a little bit bigger, it can't be 60. A little bit bigger, it can't be 60. And then like how do they change the circle times? So there'll probably be like an adjustment period a little bit where they are ironing some of those things out. If you know, I typically like to do all my own editing, even if it's not as good sometimes, Sui. But I thank you for the offer. I like this little section here because obviously I think they can, if they wanted to, it's open enough where they can update it. The grotto seems not a huge fan of pits in any kind of map, especially not like towards the middle, you know, just because like I think they just create some maybe like a lack of rotations, and especially you figure a lot of, you know, a lot of games you're going to be moving, like it's not going to wind up in one corner all the time. It's going to wind up like in the middle more often than it's going to wind up on the edges. What's up, Epic? How are you? Fair, Mikey. I believe you. Yeah, this kind of, you know, if this is just kind of a dip and it's not like a blown out like real drop, I think that's fine. What is the stream about? Today they dropped the new Rebirth map, basically the overhead for it. So we waited, put it all together. Now we're just kind of looking at it. And I probably won't stay on super long because I'll probably try and cut some of this down into like a short video. Yeah, so we'll run through it. We'll run through it like one more time and then I'll probably hop off. So the camp going from like the west to the east. Camp feels like something we've probably seen in Caldera, you know, where it's kind of wide open. I imagine this area is not much bigger than like the area right outside of living quarters, like this little area right here. I imagine that's about the same size, but obviously this map is much bigger. Rebirth class, I don't know. It depends. I use an M4 sometimes. STG. So like I figure that's what this is. The winery, you can kind of see like what I assume are hills. So the winery I think is pretty elevated. Like if I had to make an educated guess, the winery is going to be pretty elevated. And because wineries have cellars, things like that, I imagine that like these buildings are all kind of interconnected underground as well. And that's kind of cool. I think it's just a matter of how high is this hill. Like, I don't think we're going to get any mountains or anything like that. The bay doesn't super excite me. It seems open, and you also kind of figure that this is probably like the side of a cliff face that kind of drops down. And so I don't know that that'll be like, excuse me. I don't know that that'll be like a super fun place to play or drop. You know, it just kind of depends because it looks like there's, you know, only so many ways to get up. Doesn't look like you're climbing this part of the map. Oh, yeah? Maybe Great Fields. Maybe. I guess we didn't really look at this. But then the nice thing about this is kind of the nice thing about this center area. You know, this looks kind of like something that if they wanted to change this, Bane's last circle would be cool. Yeah, I don't mind. I just don't know if it would be a great place to like drop and rotate out of. The map in Greece or Italy. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's so like how Alcatraz was kind of based on a real place. this doesn't look like it's based on a real place, unless there's somewhere that they've been that I just don't know about, which, again, my scope of the world is not like fully complete. I obviously haven't seen everything in the entire world, but I kind of assume that this is more of an original creation. So this is kind of cool in the same place I thought, in the same way I thought this was kind of cool, where it's a place that looks like they could potentially like update and keep kind of fresh if they wanted to. So like in that sense, I think this is semi-promising. It looks like there's at least, doesn't look like there's many empty areas. You know, it always looks like there'll be some places and some things you can play around and play off of. After that, we've got like the keep. Seems like this giant place that is surrounded by the terrace POI and the gatehouse POI. This wall here that kind of surrounds, you can see, surrounds the whole place. I kind of assume that this is a similar size wall to the ones that are right outside of living quarters. They kind of separate like the top of living quarters from the like cliff side of that goes down into Stronghold. Yeah, this will probably be, my guess would be this will probably be like the hot drop. This will be the superstore of, you know, this map. And as long as these walls aren't too high, which I don't think they are, I bet they're like the kind of low retaining walls that they have in Rebirth. I think this is fine. If these walls are kind of high and this whole area is really sectioned off from the rest of the map, I think that it probably maybe won't be as enjoyable. The other thing I guess we don't know is if there's going to be redeploy balloons. But I guess at this point you'd assume there will be. Map's going to be more choke point holding the top windows. That is the one thing, the grays, that's kind of one of the things that I guess I've been talking about is like, Grotto's just a giant hole. Yeah, I think so a little bit. Is, you know, you have a really, like the one thing that nobody complains about in Call of Duty right now is Rebirth. Like if people could pick like a list of things that need to change, I don't think anybody's putting Rebirth on like their top 5 or top 10 list. So it's definitely a risky move to do. And then if they don't up the player count, this kind of feels like it's too dense in like these areas to make this like as fun or as fast paced. Because like if you lose the pace of play that like Rebirth allows you to play at, that's where I think you start going in the wrong direction. But I'm not like, you know, 100% ready to throw it away. Obviously, we'll have to see how it plays. But it does with all of the buildings. With all of the buildings, it definitely seems like it has the potential to be like what you said, where it's, you know, a lot of choke points, a lot of guys holding, you know, a lot of teams just holding a building, holding a room, you know, late. It also, like, it looks like there's more elevation changes, whereas kind of Rebirth is, you know, pretty flat over the middle and has some elevation changes on the sides. This looks like, you know, this certainly I think is higher than, like the winery I think is higher than the surrounding area. You know, I think the bay, it certainly drops off, and I imagine that all of the edges of the map are a little bit, you know, how'd you say that? Downhill. So it definitely looks like it has a lot of that element to it, where there's going to be a lot of changes in elevation, which it kind of depends on how many ways there are to get up. I think it depending on how you think it'll play. Because you are kind of forced, if you can only get up a hill 3 or 4 ways, you know, or 2 or 3 ways, you're kind of forced into making rotations 2 or 3 ways. Whereas like if the hills are actually pretty traversable, which, you know, it's no guarantee in Warzone, then who knows? It'd be good. It feels like a COD World War II map design. I mean, maybe, I don't know. That's not like that's not the what I got off of it. That's not necessarily what I got off of it, but we'll see. Smuggler's Cove looks, I don't know. This part of the map doesn't suit like wow me because like you think about and again, I don't play a lot of Caldera, and I don't think a lot of the guys showing up here to see the new Rebirth map necessarily play a lot of Caldera probably. But the little island areas in Caldera I don't think are nearly as like hot or contested drops. And so to have a couple like down here that, you know, feels like areas that probably will play the same way, where they'll be like open, you know, and you still have 5 houses on this island. There'll probably be open areas that, again, I don't think a lot of people will drop. So like the tough thing here is, and maybe not, maybe the winery is a lot better than I think it is, but I feel like a lot of people are going to drop keep. A lot of people are going to drop town. And as an exit through that platform, I hope. I think so. If you look at like a different battle royale that's still like a small scale, like that is smaller map, is what I mean. If you look at Apex, one of the issues that they kind of have in a couple of their maps is if there's an area in the map where everybody drops, the pace of play like drops significantly. Because like if in the first 10 minutes of the game you're down, you know, immediately players, now maybe it's going to be different. Maybe it's different because you get teams that are you'll have guys keep coming back and things like that, so maybe it'll be more action packed, more fast paced. I honestly, this could be a really good map for like regular solo mini battle royale. Could be. But I think it just depends, like 80 to 100 players, maybe 80. Maybe 80 is a good enough jump. I think it's looks a little bit bigger just based off, even if the boxes here, even if these squares aren't 1-to-1. I think 80 seems like the right number. That could be wrong. That could be wrong. I don't design games. I won't pretend like I know, exactly. 80 with resurgence change. Maybe you mix up the time a little bit. Maybe you play around with the time a little bit. But like this feels like a bigger map. And even if these squares aren't 1-to-1, the buildings you can tell are like, this is a long building. This is a building that's probably on par with like either Control or Ken, is the way I look at this from the top down. I don't think this is a short building. This is a giant building. This is a giant, fortress, essentially. Yeah, so you look at that and you can kind of just tell, even though we don't know exactly what scale it's on, what you kind of know what this is a bigger map. Yeah, and Winery is huge. And there's more open space. I'll be interested to see too how like this middle of the map plays, because you do get a lot of the times, you don't get circles that wind up on just one edge, like just strictly like based off space. You'd think a lot of circles will end up in this area. And I don't know that I like the grotto, potentially being this big drop off. Helis, yeah, why not? You got Helis in Rebirth, and it's smaller, and they work. It works pretty fine. You know, like I think that's fine. You have Helis in smaller maps, so why not? You know, like these like gate towers. They could potentially have helicopters on them. You could have a helicopter, over at the winery somewhere. I don't know where you put them. And again, I'm not in charge of designing the map or designing the gameplay. But like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you have? I'd like to see motorcycles brought back. They're not like a great vehicle, but I don't understand why we would just like take them out and never touch them again. The overlook, I can't decide if this is just like, is this just a raised, this is one raised building? It kind of overlooks this cliffside. It's just going to be a tall, don't like the green coloring. I will say I bet just based off like negative feedback from Verdansk that this is not nearly as lush with like vegetation. The graveyard, the only thing about it is it looks like you've got like a ton of mausoleums. And again, it looks like it looks, all we can do is speculate because we obviously haven't seen it play. But it looks like they've potentially, if these are all enterable, it looks like these are, this could provide, again, kind of that ratty play style that you kind of talked about. Relationship, would you use a snipe in a town? Yeah. And the tough thing about that is that's, I think, one of the least maybe liked parts about regular Rebirth now is that you've got like a lighthouse that looks over the map that guys kind of just rat in and snipe down. And it looks like with lighthouse and a couple of these other towers that there's definitely going to be these places that overlook areas that are just hard to get finishes. But we'll see. We'll see. Like it, and their track record with updates is not super great. Gatehouse looks like the spot. Yeah, this part of the map looks like it's going to be just a wild. Yeah, camper's dream. So, who knows? I think the big things are one, how does the pace of play? So like, does the circle need to change? I think that's a big like conversation that like probably everybody will have while playing it. Does it feel as fun and fast? Because part of the fun of Rebirth is it feels a little bit like a nice blend of multiplayer and battle royale mixed into one. And this is a little bit bigger, and I got a new friend suggestion. This looks obviously a little bit bigger, and you wonder if it's going to be something where you're not going to have, like you would think you'd lose that multiplayer feel a little bit if it's too big. I do this when Warzone 2 is not coming out in December. I don't know. Probably because this is something they've been working on anyways. Like, so it's worked on, it's done. This will probably be like the last like big crazy thing we get. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they have a lot planned. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. This is super risky because if this is bad and Rebirth's gone, and your player base basically just played Rebirth. Purple marks. Your player base basically just played Rebirth and kind of moved over to Rebirth, and this is bad. This was a mistake. And then you've got like 6 months before Warzone 2 to kind of like build hype. I don't think I think you're wrong. I think now it's like, I think the majority of players play Rebirth. You know, I think Caldera, the guys that just drop it and play Caldera is few and far between. I think Rebirth is a little bit faster. You get through more games. You know, it's a little bit faster paced. You know, that's why it's popular. I think it's definitely like, regardless of who's playing it, I think it's more popular. And so, like, if this is Caldera, like the Caldera situation where this isn't, you know, perfect, I think people are going to be upset. And there will probably, like, some of it will probably be growing pains where, like, they will probably have to touch up circle, you know, the timing of the circle and things like that. And if it's just that, I think it's fine. And that's not a bad idea either, Epic. You know, because it's not like Rebirth's a giant, like, it's not the same as like having us load Verdansk and then having us load up Caldera, where it's these two massive maps. You would think that if they could find a way to get them both to fit, they would. But from what I understand, like, the event that we're having next week is kind of the end of Rebirth. And maybe it's just a map that they're sick of, you know, in some ways, because like it's technically been a map since Blackout, you know, that they've refitted and put into Warzone. Going to be holding choke points like downtown Verdansk. Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely. I'll say this: I would think that none of these buildings are like over 3 stories, like, and maybe only a couple are going to be 3 stories. But I think it's going to be a lot of 2-story buildings, it'll either work really well, or it'll feel very like, you know, if you have to go into the town late game, it's going to feel rough because teams are going to absolutely hold you out. Yeah. I'll say the building to building fighting in Rebirth, I think, is handled pretty well. You know, it's one of the, I think, the more fun things. But there's not a whole lot of areas in buildings that you can just, you know, that you can maybe like freely hold and look at the entire map. So I don't know. Is there anything else on this you guys want to necessarily see, or if there's anything else you guys want to really talk about? Do you have any opinions? Something you want to say? An area you think is kind of looks interesting? I think we're all kind of unanimous that this keep is going to be like the hottest drop. Are eligibility going to be better? Aren't they already? Kind of. Hasn't sniping kind of, you know, people still snipe, but isn't it kind of gone that way anyways? You know, like, I feel like sniping is kind of lost in the last few updates. Has lost its luster. Or maybe feels less rewarding now anyways. SMG is the new, yeah, the Blixen, Oleato. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like it's got a lot of like play the map kind of vibes to it, you know, where there'll be like spots you can get that give you a significant advantage. And I don't know how I feel about it. We'll see. It'll be nice to have something new because they so rarely drop new content for this game, but it's also incredibly risky. Incredibly risky for them because Rebirth is probably the, you know, the nicest part of their game. It'll also be interesting when we see everyone is afraid of change after Caldera. Yeah, I So I don't think it's just Caldera though, class. In all fairness, they how many updates have they dropped that have been met with high expectations and kind of let you down? Like I that's a fair comment. First class is like, change is already kind of like a tough thing. But also like this wouldn't be the first time we've, got our hopes up for an update from Call of Duty and then kind of been disappointed. So like fair point. Fair point. I'm gonna go into this with an open mind. But like I don't think it's unfair for me to look at it and say like there's potentially pitfalls. Maybe some of it'll be growing pains that they can iron out and like things will, ultimately wind up in a good place. But like yeah, I don't think it's unfair to look at it and say like, we've gotten our hopes up before. We've gotten our hopes up before. This could be another this could be another time where that happens. Yeah. Yeah, I think the only thing that like maybe stands out to me is like it looks like it just naturally has these like elevation changes where like this is up a little bit higher and maybe like even as we've kind of like discussed, we think this looks like it's going to be like this crazy hot drop, and then everything else is kind of like, you can see these cliff sides. It's maybe downhill from there. Then you get to the winery, which is another big place, and everything on the outskirts is like downhill from there. And so the thing I worry about with like a situation like that, or like here where you've got like this really insulated, really dense town, is that part of the fun of Rebirth, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, is that it does play a lot like multiplayer where, yeah, I'm excited because it's new, and we don't get new a lot, class. But part of the fun of Rebirth is like it is this nice blend of multiplayer and Rebirth. And if they, you know, if this becomes more of a tactical Rebirth where, positioning is more important and it's not just kind of like this like fun free for all, because that's, again, I think part of the enjoyment of Rebirth is that it is a little bit of a free for all. Like, is that something that like if it's going to cause less people to play? That's what I would worry about if I was the guys at Call of Duty. And you'd like to think that they've done a lot of in-house play testing and things like that. But I could also say that like from previous updates we've played, kind of know that that doesn't go on as much as we think. Yeah. And you don't know until you see how the circle, like what time things are going to work. Like if they're going to adjust the circle times, if they're going to adjust the circle speed, you don't know exactly how this thing's going to flow. If it's a lot of, moving up and down a hill, like I think that's going to be tough because people already kind of have that in Caldera and they don't like it. So we'll see. Yeah, I think more players, but again, then you're looking at potentially longer games. Like what is a Rebirth game goes what? 16, 17 minutes? Is that like from if you win a game of Rebirth, is it a 17-minute game, 18-minute game? Does somebody know? Be smaller than expected. I think we have enough information, maybe not to tell how big it is epic, but like based on the size of some of these buildings that we can kind of see, I think we know this is a bigger map than Rebirth currently. Yeah, and there's like people always kind of gripe. Yeah, people always kind of gripe about like developers like playing to the casual player, but like the other thing is like if you enjoy playing a game, like you need people to play it, and I think we've all probably have a game that we really like that the player base is just incredibly low for, and would you sacrifice some of the things you really like in a game that nobody plays if that would make more people play it. I think so. There's always some balance to that. You want it to be somewhat fun for everyone. You have to like because you want other people to play it. To a point. You want to have competition, things like that. So like people always like kind of bitch and gripe about like oh, they're playing to the casuals, and it's like, yeah, well, the casuals, we need casual players to play because we need people on at all times. Like searching for a game for 5 minutes over and over again is not fun. Like the other thing is when more people are playing something, typically, not necessarily in the case of Call of Duty, typically in other games, when more people are playing it, you get more frequent updates. You get more updates to the game that you like, more changes, things like that. So like, shit, I'm gonna go. Thanks for going. Yeah, hey, Epic, you have a great day, man. We'll see you back here. You think they'll keep hype after a month or two? It depends. It really depends on how it plays, Grace. It really depends. If it can match the fun of Rebirth, yeah, absolutely. And I think more guys come over that are, Caldera players. If it's a little bit bigger and the pacing is still really good, I think absolutely. So like that, so there is definitely some. We said it's risky because Rebirth is definitely the one mode that I think people don't complain about with Call of Duty, but there's also some reward for them too. Like they could drop a really good update. They could drop a really good update, and I think a lot. Everybody has a pretty short attention span when it comes to things like that. Where like a lot of bad updates, I think would be forgiven if they do a good job here. I think that's pretty fair to say. Like I could look past a lot of like updates that have flopped if this is good. Because this will be new, fun. They took a risk and if they hit, that'll be, So I'm excited because it's new. And new in Call of Duty, we only get so often. And I'll tell you what, it could also be something like maybe this is a rebirth map they plan to use going forward too. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That playing Rebirth Island for 10 years would be great either. But they're also, like we said, there's this area right here, which doesn't look, it kind of looks like a very empty area. There's a couple of buildings, and it looks like they've got trucks, basically. This looks like a construction site. And kind of in the same way that, like, we had a construction site in Old Rebirth, and they changed it and made something new, in Control, which a lot of people like Control. I could see this being something that they update and eventually give us a new like POI. Same with like this area over here. Again, not named. We're getting to the edge of the screen. This area over here, even though this kind of east side is definitely more sparse and the coastal stuff's always going to be like that, but it definitely looks like they've left themselves some room to play. Where if they want to make some changes, they can. Potentially here as well. This could be an area that they touch up on points. So they've seemed like they've given themselves some space to kind of make some fun changes too if they want to. The only thing I'm really, I guess, maybe hesitant about is like it really depends on how big a drop off this grotto is. If this is a pit, I don't think that's a good situation. If it's just kind of a lower elevation, I think that's fine. Graveyard. I think the graveyard fighting in Verdansk was good. But like if these are like mausoleums that you can kind of like walk inside, I think that's stuff. Warzone 2's coming out of servers, nothing coming over from that's confirmed. Yeah, I guess that's fair. So maybe it's not that big of a risk because they're like, yeah, if it sucks, we'll just pack it in and go full steam ahead on Warzone. But they claim that they have a lot planned for Caldera and Rebirth going forward. Yeah, I really do think that like ultimately this could be a really good solos map just for straight up mini battle royale. Could be. And maybe even the extra space, some of the things that like people complain about with regular or with regular rebirth, not that there's many, but like the loadouts that just drop kind of on top of each other that like, guys sit on a camp, maybe the extra space kind of alleviates some of that. So like even if it's not perfect, I think this definitely will have some elements of fun to it. But again, it'll be about how they react as soon as it drops. Like, because I have no doubts that it'll be new and it'll be fun for a second, but it'll be like, what kind of changes? How do they listen to feedback? Things like that. Which I think their track record on that is not always great. So we'll see. See, I'm excited about it. Like a terminal, a little smaller map. Yeah, one of the things I thought would be cool. One of the things that I thought would be cool um, was like if they did, because like Alcatraz originally was a zombies map that they flipped into a rebirth map. So I thought it would be cool if like they did like transit as a rebirth map. Like I thought that would be cool. I definitely think there's still like some things that they can do that would be like cool and exciting. Um, but you know what? I'm not. I'm not out. I'm not out on this. I'm not out on this. I think this seems like not a bad idea. Unless, well, it's a risky idea. It's a risky idea, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad idea. And then the other thing is like I think the first step. I'll start to worry if we do the rebirth event next week. If the rebirth event is like just one town type of thing, yeah, that'd be cool. But also, doesn't that get to almost be like a little bit more like just regular? If it's too small, doesn't it get to just feel like a little bit more regular team deathmatch? And I'm not disagreeing with you, just like asking. I don't know where I was going with my own thought. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what they do. It, yeah. I don't think is there anything anybody else like wants to look at. I know now the picture is probably available for you guys wherever you want to go. Um, but if there's anything you want to still like talk about, chat about, you are more than welcome to do that. You can bring it up. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna try and cut this up when we get done and put out a little video based off some of like what we've talked about and stuff from the live stream. I don't think this was. There was definitely a gap at like 2 o'clock where they didn't have any updates, but outside of that, like this was decent. This was a fun, kind of a fun way to get the Call of Duty in the conversation today. I'm excited that they're taking a chance. That I guess, like, if I had to leave it on, like, it'd be a big map. That's all. Fair enough, Grace. I think that's if it, like I had to look at this and like take one thing away. It's exciting that Call of Duty is going to take like a chance, because this could flop, and everybody kind of knows that it could flop because Caldera flopped. Like I think going into Caldera, we just assumed that new map like there was no way it could suck, and this like now everybody knows that that's a pretty real possibility. So it's a risk. It's something new. Yeah, I'm excited about it. Where do we want to go now? Here, all right, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Um, Thanks for everybody that stopped in and had a comment or had something to say about it. I really do appreciate you guys voicing your opinions, whatnot. If you guys haven't subscribed, that helps me. It doesn't cost you anything. I won't harp on it too much. I'd appreciate it. We'd love to see you back. Thank you, Grace. Guys, have a great rest of your day. I might be on tomorrow. I worked 17 hours yesterday. I got another 8.5 tonight. I work nights a lot of times. Tomorrow I might be on, might not be on. I'll try and be more consistent with videos as far as through the summer. Guys, have a wonderful day. All right.